So for under $50, you can turn any TV into a smart TV or a smart TV into a smarter TV and potentially cancel your cable subscription forever with this new device right here. Now, this is not especially a new claim. We've been seeing the FireTV sticks, the Rokus, and the original Chromecast all essentially claiming to do the same thing, but now the newest Google Chromecast in 2020 does things a little bit differently. So in this video, I'm going to break down what this device is all about, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about it based on my use with the newest Chromecast. Now, to give you guys a summary of some of the big highlights about this device, unlike the original Chromecast, which you could only cast to from your phone, this one actually has a new interface where it has a remote that comes in the box. So much like the Roku or the FireTV sticks, you can actually navigate an interface with a group of people and decide on titles and figure out what you want to watch. Now, of course, you can also cast from your phone. You can tie it together with your entire smart home and ask your little Nest Mini, or you can ask your smartwatch or whatever you want to play titles, but having a remote is definitely a welcomed addition here. Now, the second big highlight of this one is that it is running Google TV, which unlike a lot of other services, kind of ties things together. It's a little bit more integrated, and it's just going to show you titles in a nice clean layout with, from what I've seen, no ads yet. So that's a big plus. Yes, I'm talking about you, Fire TV stick. And essentially what you're doing here is it's trying to cut down the time that you're wasting looking for different titles. So using Google's algorithm, it's going to be monitoring like what you're watching, when you're watching different things, and helping you, it's kind of predicting what you'd be interested in watching. Just like if you go on YouTube and you watch videos, that it predicts what you're interested in watching. So the idea here is that in the interface, you're going to have a bunch of different titles of movies and shows based on your interest that Google is going to determine with their own algorithm, and it's going to suggest that you watch certain things. And of course, you don't have to do this. You can go into the apps if you want, but the idea is that it cuts down the time that you waste when you open up Hulu, go through all the titles, and then decide that's not it. Go to Netflix, go through the titles, that's not it. Go to Disney Plus, and you get the idea. Like, I've spent way too much time doing that, and so having this option here where it just shows you the titles, you check them out, and it shows you where you can watch them from your subscriptions, I think that's pretty cool. But I'm going to show you guys the interface later on in this video. Let's start off with what actually comes in the box, starting with the first thing, the Chromecast itself. It's slightly larger than the original Chromecast, but it's still a little dongle that hangs on the back of your TV. So no matter what your TV shape is or where it is against the wall, it should fit pretty nicely. It's a really slim design and very flexible kind of linguini cable there up to an HDMI, which again plugs into just about every TV I've ever seen. So there are three different colors. There's like a pinkish one, a bluish one, and this is the white one. I chose the white one because all the others were sold out. And originally I was wondering why the colors really mattered. If it's behind your TV anyway, it's just gonna collect dust. But the cool thing is actually the remotes also come in three different colors. So the pink, the blue, and the white. So if you want a cool colored remote, you can definitely get that now. And these remotes are really comfortable. Honestly, I think they're a pretty nice size. They're really convenient. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But talking about what else comes in the box, we have a charging cable and a charging block. I say charging, but it is a full-time power cable. Like, this has to be plugged in the entire time, and it has a USB Type-C on the back, as well as a button on here if you need to reset your Chromecast, which is just a nice thing to be able to do on here. Now, looking a bit closer at this remote, you are able to control not only the Chromecast, but also your television or your stereo system or whatever you want. It has an infrared blaster on the top, and you also have the volume rocker on the right side, the power button, and you have the the input selector on the bottom as well. So the idea here is that you can turn on your TV, you can change the input, and you can control the volume, pretty much everything you're going to have to do on your TV with this remote right here. And so that's really nice to have that. Looking at the other buttons on the remote, it's very simple. You have your D-pad on the top. It's not a wheel you can spin. It's just like up, down, left, and right. And a middle button as well. That's like your OK, your go, whatever you want to call that. You have a back button, a Google Assistant button, because there is a microphone on here, and you can ask Google Assistant to do whatever Google Assistant does on your TV. So that's a cool thing to have right there. We have a home button, a mute button, a YouTube button. Obviously, Google's going to put that one there. And then a Netflix button. I assume that's because Netflix is a very common platform that people want to use. So cool Netflix button on the bottom there. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot to see on this remote. Unfortunately, there is no headphone jack. And also on the back, you can see if we slide it off, it is powered by two AAA batteries that are included in the box. But like I said, no headphone jack is a drawback for me, but you do have Bluetooth on the Chromecast, so you can connect earbuds to that, or you can connect a speaker to that. and I have a little bit of beef with that I'm going to talk about later on in this video. Before I get into the interface and show you guys what Google TV is actually like to use on this Chromecast, I first want to point out that you can control things with your phone by just casting them like I mentioned before. You can control things from the Google Home app as well. And like I said, you can control things from your Google speakers, your Nest Mini, your Wear OS watches, your Android devices, whatever you want, even on iPhone if you have Google Assistant on there. Whatever you want, you can control your device here. So I think it's really cool that you're not limited to just using this remote. But like I said, having a remote is definitely an extra good plus there. Now, let's jump over and see what the interface actually looks like. Guys, actually a quick aside, I mentioned that this is really similar to the Roku and the FireTV stick. Amazon just released a brand new 2020 FireTV stick, and I will be reviewing that. I have that like right over there. So I'm going to be comparing that to this one in the next video. So if you guys want to see that, go on down and click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss that comparison. Now, before we even get into the interface, the first thing you'll see is actually just the screensaver here. It just cycles through a bunch of different photos, shows you the time on the corner. It can show you the weather as well, and you can change the photos to be your own Google Photos account. Otherwise, it's just the default ones right here. Now, if we press any button on the remote, it brings us into the interface. So we can go back up to the top here, and you'll see it looks really similar to Netflix and Amazon and pretty much everything else out there, except it's a bunch of different apps combined. You choose the apps when you set this up, and it'll show you which of your apps each video is on. So across the top, you'll see that we have a search option, the For You, movies, shows, apps, and library. So apps obviously is what I was saying. You can go into, just if you want to see only Netflix right now, it's really easy to do that. I would say this is probably not that relevant for these three or four, but if you're looking for like Sling TV and you're looking for a live football game or something, it does make sense to go into apps here. Now we can also go over to library if you have anything that you purchased or rented, and you can also have your watch list from Google. So if you search something and you want to add it to your watch list, you'll eventually find it here as long as you're on the same account. Now before I go down the For You, I also want to mention that if you press and hold the home button, it'll bring you over to some options here where you can go into your settings. You can go into, like right there, it'll bring you back to the screensaver, or of course you can go and change your account and stuff like that. You'll see notifications down here as well. But then looking at the For You section, as we go down, you'll see they always show you two things, or at least one thing on the top from YouTube. Obviously, Google owns YouTube. They're trying to push their own stuff first, but it's really not that bad. As we go down, you'll see the top picks for you, and on each one, you'll see right below the title, it gives you like the Rotten Tomatoes rating, which is really nice, and it also tells you where it is. So these are all on Netflix. That's Prime Video, Netflix, and these are going to be based on what you've watched in the past, what Google thinks you'll like. And so right now, I actually just made a new account for this, so this is not really tailored to me, but the more you use it, the more it's going to be tailored to you. Then you go down, you'll see all the apps you have here. You can see what's trending on Google, so maybe new popular stuff is going to appear here. You'll see dramas, documentaries, blah, blah, blah. It'll go down like this, and you'll get to like some recommended videos from your YouTube account, so it's really nice that all integrates well. And you'll go down, you can see lots and lots of different categories down here, which again makes it so easy to find what you're looking for and watch anything. So if we go maybe like right here, if we want to see maybe this one, you can just select that one, and then it'll show you that there's different ways to watch it. So you can watch it on Netflix is the default there, but there's other ways to watch here. So you can say 3 other ways to watch, and you can buy it on Google TV or rent it, and maybe you'll have it on Amazon for some other things. It'll just show you all right there. Then we can go down, and it tells you a little bit more about the cast and the crew, what you might like if you liked this, so it helps you find other stuff, and then just more information about it on the bottom. So I think this interface here is really nice. It's good layout there. And if we go into pretty much anything on here, the player is going to be very familiar and very easy to use. Now on top of that, we do have the Google Assistant. So if I just press and hold the button on the remote, what's the weather in Tampa, Florida? So right there, it'll bring up the weather. It shows you day by day, and it is interactive, so I can go through each day and I can just look at what the weather is for each day, or I could even open up that day and see what the hourly is if we're interested in that. And similarly, you can do the same thing with any titles. Find some funny movies. And so it finds some popular comedies here, again, making it a lot easier to search, and you can go across the top and add some more extra things on there. So maybe new comedy movies, for example, or you could go and add some other things, new comedy that is animated, right? So you can have all these compounded searches to find exactly what you're looking for. So guys, just to summarize what we saw in the interface right there, I thought that Google did a great job of kind of aggregating content for you, predicting what I was interested in watching, and I really liked how there were no ads just plastered around the interface. So by now, the FireTV stick, there's just so many ads all over, and it gets really cluttered and noisy, and sometimes you don't know what's an ad and what's actual title that maybe you watched recently. So that's all really good stuff. I really like the interface on here. It feels clean, it feels much more inviting to use than a lot of other ones out there. So that's definitely a really big plus there. Some of the downsides, it's a little bit buggy here and there with things like the continue watching, for example. They don't always work across all different apps. So what you were recently watching, if it's on like Prime Video, it might not be showing up, but Netflix, maybe it would. That's a really small drawback for me, so I don't really care that much. I'll just open the app if I want to, because that's gonna be just a quick second to do that. As far as quality goes with the Chromecast, you're much more likely to be limited by your TV or speakers because this comes with 4K high dynamic range, or HDR, means it's going to be great resolution, great color on there. You have Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, so you're gonna have great sound and just a great picture overall. So like I said, you're really not going to be tied down much at all. It's gonna look really great as long as you have good speakers and a good TV there. So I think it's pretty clear the Chromecast is very capable. It's a really convenient device to have, and I would really recommend it for a lot of people. But there are a few drawbacks and a few kind of groups of people that I think really would not enjoy this device. So the first drawback is that it doesn't have Apple TV Plus. I don't watch Apple TV Plus, I don't really care about that, but if you do, obviously that's gonna be a make or break. You probably don't wanna get this device, being that at least at the time of making this video, it doesn't have Apple TV Plus available. On top of that, it does require kind of, Google does a lot of like data stuff, right? So when you first sign up, there's a lot of terms and conditions, like 5 different pages that you have to go and accept, and they ask for a lot of permissions to like permission to your microphone, permission to your phone camera to scan a barcode, permission for location. Like there's a lot of stuff that Google's asking for, and you can say no to a lot of that and set it up without that, but it is going to kind of hinder your experience a little bit. So you're not going to have things as well integrated. It's going to take longer to set up and stuff like that. But if you're okay with just saying yes to all of that stuff, then obviously that's not going to be a problem. Occasionally there was a little bit of sluggishness in the interface, but that's really not going to be an issue because that was just when you're navigating around and doing stuff like that. But it was very occasional and it wasn't even that bad. And then really the biggest functional drawback for me is that you don't have a headphone jack on the remote. So that's definitely a bit of a downer for me. I know that instead you could be using like Bluetooth on there to connect to speakers or earbuds, but I found that doing that, it has a lot of lag. If I'm listening with earbuds, there's going to be a very noticeable lag between the mouth moving and the actual words I'm hearing. So that's a downside that I really wish they could fix on here. But overall, guys, the Chromecast in 2020, I think it's a great device and I would highly recommend it to pretty much any TV out there that's anybody looking to get a smart TV. If you already have a smart TV and you just want it to be a little more integrated with Google, depending on your type of smart TV, it's a great device to get. It's under $50, so it's really hard to argue with that price point. And like I said, it's a very capable device. But comment down below, let me know what you guys think of the brand new Chromecast, if it's something you'll be getting or not, if you think it's really similar to other stuff and it's not worth it, or if you think it's something that you really like having for some specific reason. But comment down below, let me know your thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.